Welcome, welcome to Homekeepers. Oh, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad you're there. And I've been so excited all week because we've had one guest, Brigitte Gabriel, and she's informed us so much that I've almost forgotten to say, you know, thanks for tuning in. Please grab your cup of tea for this last day that she is with us this week. And maybe you've never ever seen the program before. Usually we do recipes and things, but I felt like this week there's so much good information. It's an opportunity to get it to you. And so we've just kind of forgone all the normal stuff gladly. So glad to do that. We're using the scripture all week. The sons of Issachar understood the times with knowledge of what Israel should do. You'll find that in 1 Chronicles. And I've just adapted it to people who need to understand the times, you know, just forget a lot of, I've never seen a time in culture where there's so much foolishness and so much dumbing down. And all you have to do is channel surf a little bit to see some of it. But we brought you some information this week where you can really understand the times from someone who not only lived it, but God has given her a wonderful, wonderful gift of communication. And so it's going to be hard to see her go, really. But all week long, I've offered you this little booklet, Understanding Islam and Christianity. It just is an educational book, and it just shows you where, in the beginning, Muhammad used quite a few scriptures, and then they just moved away from it for good reason. Also, it offers you a way to really just witness to people who are of the Muslim faith. So, if you would like to have that book, just write to me at Homekeepers, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758. And if you can send something, I urgently ask you to do that. That's the way we can stay on the air. If you can't, I would send it to you anyway. You know, Brigitte has given us really some horrifying news, some bad news. And on the program today, I specifically asked her, you know, do you have any hope? I remember President Reagan saying that he saw America as a shining city on the hill. And boy, I'd like to see that again. Don't miss what she has to say. And so I'm going to really introduce her for the last time this week. I do know that she has been given an invitation anytime she's coming by. I hope it won't be the last time, but this has been a great week with her. So here's our conversation that we had before she left. Let me go over her books again a little bit. This is the first one, Because They Hate. Both of these are New York Times bestsellers, and They Must Be Stopped. This one really gives her history and so much history of Islamic terrorism. And this gives you a lot of more current information of how this movement is getting into our courts, into our educational system, but also it tells you what you can do. And I'm so glad to learn about that and to learn about organization she's founded called Act for America. Preston, let's go ahead and just get that website up. We'll keep it up for the entire time because I mentioned to her that I'm so thrilled to know that something is being done. It has to be organized. It has to. You might have a grassroots effort here and there once in a while, but what you're facing, it needs organization. It needs purpose. And so on the last program, when you outlined a lot of that, I was really feeling better about it. And we do have some wonderful Christian attorneys across the nation. I think of Jay Sekulow. I think he was here when he first started out, when that ACLJ just began. And organizations like that a lot of people can tap into. So thank you for starting Act for America, and you're working on educating people on the security and on what's happening in education, what's happening in our government, in our courts. And
well, our focus is national security. Mm-hmm. When I looked around and I realized that of all the great organizations that we have, on the right, on the conservative side. I mean, CWA, they focus on the abortion issue. The NRA, they focus on the gun issue. They're not going to call their elected officials about Islam being taught in the public schools. That's not their issue. You've got AIPAC, focused on the American-Israel relationship. You've got Numbers USA, focused on immigration. Every organization, the reason why they become so good at what they do is they're focused on one subject, and they become the best at it. They don't get distracted with any other thing. So when I looked around in 2006, there was no organization, zero organization focused on national security. We have the NRA for the guns, we have this, we have that, and I said, the most important issue of the day, especially after September 11th.
I think we expect Washington to do that.
Right. We didn't have any grassroots organization focused on national security, and that's when I launched mine. Because when I would travel and I would speak in Florida one night, and people would say to me, oh, Brigitte, you don't understand. We have a major problem in Florida with the radicalization in our mosques. And I would travel the next day to Fontana, California, and I would speak there, and they would say, oh, Brigitte, you don't understand. We have a major problem, with the Islamic groups in our, in our state. It's different than any other city. And I would fly the next day to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I would hear the same story. And I realized that while we are scattered all over the place, our enemy is so organized and focused, we don't have a focus. And I launched Act for America to create an umbrella organization staffed at a headquarters where we mobilize people nationwide in chapters that report back to the headquarters everything that's happening in their community. And what we started seeing is there was a pattern developing in all the states. The reports that were coming back from people who became chapter leaders and joined chapters in their community, we started seeing they're fighting the same issues. So the Islamic groups who were so organized and focused in their strategy were trying to implement the same thing in different states. Our people thought, oh, it's only in our community. This is only happening here in Tampa. People in Raleigh don't have a problem with this. So what we realized is they were systematically approaching the destruction of our society. So we mobilized Act for America. We now have 800 chapters nationwide. People can go to our website, actforamerica.org, click on our chapters. They can move their cursor on the map to their state, and it shows them all the chapters in their states. So we encourage people to join chapters in their community because we send action alerts letting them what's happening in their community. Call your elected officials. This is happening. There's a bill coming down for a vote. And we let them know about bills coming down for a vote so they can call in a timely manner before the bill is voted upon. Because now people think, oh my God, I cannot believe, when did they pass that law? Or how did we get to that point? Now, we're making people become a voice affecting their community and our nation, and we're seeing great change happening nationwide.
Yeah, and I will certainly join up on that, but I do belong to one, they get it all on the internet really, Florida Family Association.
Yes.
And they're the ones that are telling us about Sharia law trying to sneak into the courts here in Tallahassee, Florida.
Right.
And you told me that Tampa is just an absolute hotbed for radical Islam?
Yes, for terrorists.
How many mosques are there in the United States? Do you have any idea?
We have over 2,000 mosques.
In the United States?
Yes.
And is this where a lot?
And that was as of 5 years ago.
What goes on in there? What goes on inside of a
Great
mosque?
question. There's a lot of radicalization happening in the mosques today. We have seen literally the radicalization of our mosques happen before our eyes, before our own eyes, and the change began happening dramatically since September 11th, because the Saudis started pumping millions of dollars setting up mosques in America and Islamic institutions and providing Saudi books and Saudi educational materials into these mosques. And what they are teaching, I discuss a study in my book, Because They Hate, which you're so wonderfully promoted on this show, where the Center for Religious Freedom went undercover in mosques across the United States and collected over 200 books and publications provided by the Saudis that are teaching Muslims in America to overthrow our democracy, that democracy is the source of all evils, to declare war on the infidels, establish Islam as the supreme law of the land, resent the infidels, resent the unbelievers. It's mind-boggling. And later, since the publishing of that first study, there has been 3 other studies where we found out that 7 out of 10 mosques are preaching jihad in America, the killing of infidels, and the overthrow of our democracy and the establishment of Sharia law. And this is why you are seeing this push for Sharia law happen nationwide.
And the money's coming like from Saudi Arabia, where they've got a lot of money. Now, I think I read in your book where $350,000 of tax money went to a school in Tampa?
In Florida, correct? Correct. That was back in 2006. So to show you how infiltrated they are.
Okay, what kind of school was it?
Madras, kindergarten. You know, Islamic, just first grade till 8th grade, I think, that particular school. I don't remember exactly the school. But we have the references and the details about it in my second book, And They Must Be Stopped. And when they were penalized because they were teaching radical Islamic education, and literally it was an Islamic school, they basically shut it down, changed the name, used the same desks, same buildings, same phone lines, same teachers, opened up a building next door, and they were the same thing under a different name. So they have found out the loopholes which they can operate in our society. And right now, we have 50,000 students in the United States being taught in Muslim madrasas in America. We have over 226.
Is it madrasa school? Is that
yes.
school?
Over 226 madrasas, registered madrasas in the United States. We estimate we have over 700 that are teaching 50,000 American students daily radical Islamic education in America.
I told the viewers on the last program that we would definitely talk about what you can do, and where you can really get educated is this website, and you can learn about education courts and everything there. But for my little moms out there, and you know, they're stay-at-home moms, and God bless them, they homeschool their kids. That's about the best thing, really. But if they're not homeschooling their kids, they need to go. They need to go to every meeting. They need to see their books.
Right.
They need to make noise. Come on.
Exactly.
Quit
and we
being
give them those tips. I mentioned in one of earlier shows our educational program, indoctrination or education, the textbook reports that we did, that we issued. We issued a textbook report that is posted on our actforamericaeducation.org. We did a textbook that spanned 2 years, and we took 38 textbooks we analyzed. These are state-approved curriculums and of our history books and social studies books. And we mailed the report to over 70,000 elected school board members nationwide, teaching them all the lies and mistruths that are in the textbooks. The full report is posted on our website, actforamericaeducation, which is our educational arm.com. Parents can go there, read the report, take the report to their local state elected school board member, especially if they've got a child in school, in public schools. Join the PTA. We give them tips on how they can join our chapters. Go to Act for America. Exactly. Speak up. There are chapters that are organized nationwide working specifically on this issue. So this is what moms can do. A lot of moms who are watching this show. And how they become active.
Yeah, and if you'll talk to your kids around the, turn off the TV and talk to them around the dinner table, they might tell you more of what they're learning and what's going on. I'd also like to recap that the word Arab, that's an ethnicity. Islam is a religion. Is there a lot of, crossing of those two words that people do not understand? Because your bone of contention is radical Islam. It's the one that bombs people. It's the one that cuts off their heads. It's the one who flies into the Twin Towers and all, and the brutality has no end. But what about just the Arab world, as opposed to the Islamic Muslim religion?
The majority, the word Arab refers to Muslims because Islam came out of Arabia. And Christians in the Middle East were not called Arabs until now. On television, people identify them as Arabs. Christians who live in the Middle East, for example, the Christians in Lebanon are Phoenicians. I'm a Maronite. The Christians in Egypt are Copts. They're not Arabs. The Christians in Turkey are Armenians, and so on and so forth. The Christians in Iraq are Assyrians. But we were forced to speak the Arabic language as Islam conquered our nations through the Islamic invasion. And what's the best way to rob a culture of its heritage? Strip their language. So now, while my heritage is Aramaic and I can pray in Aramaic and our church services are in Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke, my spoken tongue is Arabic because that's the only language I know. So my passport is Arabic, my mother tongue is Arabic. So while I'm an Arab phone, I am not an Arab. But this is too much for the American public to understand and differentiate.
Yeah.
So they call anybody that comes from the Middle East Arab. So
Arab.
they are Arab Christians, they are
catch-all.
Arab Jews, and they are Arab Muslims. And they are Arab Muslims who are peaceful and moderates. But it is the radical Islamists who are driving the agenda right now. Not every Muslim wants to go and kill and subject their wives and beat their wives. But the majority of the Middle East is Islamist, and now we are seeing a rise of the radical Islam worldwide, and it's just sweeping worldwide.
You know, as a Christian, you always have hope.
Yes.
It's so important. I'm thrilled to know what you're doing. Do you have hope? I mean, this looks like just a tidal wave. This not infiltrating our country. It's like it could just sweep over it.
We have great hope. If I didn't have hope, Arthelene, I wouldn't be doing what I do. But I truly believe that in my case, I have found my purpose. I truly have found I have found my purpose. I found what I'm supposed to do. This is my destiny. And I knew I am able to change what's happening in our country because I can represent and speak on behalf of millions of people, members of Act for America, who I can be their lips, I can be their tongue, I can be their voice, because while they are unable to go on television like this and give, you know, interviews 5 days in a row or go on national television and speak, I can, as long as I know there's an organization behind me. And after I founded Act for America, we have become the largest national security organization in the country, and we are creating waves. Now, we're only 5 years old. We started in 2007. But look, in 2007, till now, we have over 250,000 members. That's incredible growth. Well, operating on a very little budget. And here's how my hope is. To give you an idea, the issue of the whole Benghazi thing, we would not let it rest. It didn't matter how long it took, 8 months, a year after Benghazi. We stayed after our government. We stayed after the witnesses.
Got to do it.
We worked in government. We worked with Congressman Frank Wolf, who introduced the bill, House Resolution 36, to establish a select committee hearing on Benghazi. We put the pressure so much that we were able to gather over 2/3 of the House membership to apply the pressure on Boehner to actually conduct a committee on Benghazi. We put the pressure so much, we sent an email action alert out to our members that within 24 hours, in the same day, not even 24 hours, we sent the email out nationwide in the morning, because we have a lot of members, viewers like this who watched me on television and said, I want to be informed when something's going on. They go to our website, sign up actforamerica.org to get our emails. We send the action alert, they call. That day, within 5-6 hours, we got a call from Boehner's office saying, I want to meet with you. I want to talk about Benghazi.
He's the Speaker of the House.
The Speaker of the House. When you become an organization that can shut down the phone lines for the Speaker of the House to the point where his office can call you and say, I want to sit down and talk about Benghazi, you know you are making waves, you are bringing about change in the country. And I hope and pray that all of you all watching us right now on television, that they would join us. Go to Act for America, add your name to our organization, and help us grow. That's how we're taking back our society.
I really think that a lot of people what can I do? Okay, we're telling you
Exactly.
but you know what I can give you?
What?
I've got viewers out there that pray.
Oh, wonderful.
They will. I'm asking you to just put Brigitte on your prayer list and what she's doing, because there's nothing like when you get something. This is in the will of God. This is right. You're trying to stop brutality. This is a force against God Almighty. It's a force against Jesus Christ, you know, more than anybody else. And so we got to get this prayer power behind you, and that'll give it wings. That will give it some legs. And I, you know, every morning I spend time with the Lord, and I pray, I read my Bible, and I got a list, and my list stays the same. I want to tell you, it does. And you think, well, maybe God's tired of hearing this. I don't think so. I remember where Hannah was, you know, praying that she would have Samuel. I thought about that with your mother, because she wasn't, you know, she couldn't get pregnant and all. And so I have this list, and I add to it and I'm going to add your name, and I'm going to add,
you.
I consider this a ministry.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
I am-
Yes, it is. You cannot believe the attacks that we come under. You cannot believe how the devil, you cannot believe the attacks we come under, and the personal attacks against me as well, in my family, in my health, in my children. It's been a challenge, and I'm a firm believer in the power of prayers. We are fighting truly evil. We are fighting
Yes,
evil.
it's evil.
And
Let's call it
that's
what
what
it
it
is.
is. We are fighting evil, and we have to pray that, you know, may goodness triumph over evil. We have to pray that love, honesty, integrity, fellowship, people coming together, loving each other, working together, whether Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, Sikhs, atheists, I don't care. When we can come
Stop the
together,
violence.
stop the violence, honor our Creator, do good unto others, treat others the way we want to be treated, spread love, spread grace. You know, that's the world that we strive to be in. And when we can do whatever little we can do, that's what we need to do as people. And I believe every single person, Arthelene, has a purpose in life, has a mission to fulfill. And I have found my purpose and I have found my mission. And I'm so grateful for people like you who invite me on their show to magnify my voice, to help me reach millions of people with my message. Because God knows America's salvation and protection to continue to be a beacon of light to the world, to people like me to immigrate here. We need to protect this nation. It doesn't matter whether we are Republicans or Democrats. Throw all this in the garbage. We are Americans who love God and love our Judeo-Christian foundation and believe in that foundation, which is the foundation for Western civilization. So I hope people pray for us, stand with us financially if they are able, and they can find information on our website to support us to grow. Obviously, we don't have the oil wealth. We have to depend on Patriot partners who can stand with us.
Saudi Arabia is not supporting you.
Saudi Arabia is not supporting us while our enemy gets millions. We're literally raising money with nickels and dimes and $10 a month and $20 a month to, you know, to do the work that we need to do. And they can support us. And pastors, if they are watching this show, or anybody who's a member of a mega church, invite us to speak at your church. This is how we're getting the word out.
Yeah, because this is a spiritual war. This is not a clash of, it's not just a clash of cultures. This is a war where absolute evil has declared violence
On absolute goodness.
on Christians and Jews, basically.
Yeah.
And God brought you up through the most amazing story that you're running back and forth to Israel and all, and He prepares you, and now you're a great defender of Israel. You're a defender of what is right. You're a defender of our Judeo-Christian values, and I know that nothing is impossible with God. The Bible tells us that.
Yes. Hey, my life is a testimony.
It sure is. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and anytime you're just coming through the Tampa Bay again.
I'll take you up on that.
Oh, I want you to. Hey, you stay with me. I have a couple things to say before we have to say goodbye.
Arthelene would like you to keep the following information handy. You may contact Homekeepers by writing P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758, or go to www.rippy.org. Remember, we always enjoy hearing from our viewers, and we thank you for your support.
Wow, this has really been a week, just packed full of information, and what a great communicator this lady is. I want to again show you this little pullout. It comes from this book that we've been offering all week long, and it compares Islam to Christianity, and it's made so, you know, anybody, people like me can understand, but this gives you some specific ways to witness to men and women about the Lord Jesus Christ. That's what we're all about. This book just shows the comparison of Islam and Christianity, and I would like for you to have it. And you can have it by writing to Homekeepers, Post Office Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. You must write for this. The answering service does not have information on it. I really urge you to send a gift, a financial gift, to keep us on the air. And if you cannot do that, we will be glad to send it to you anyway. At the top of the program, I mentioned how President Reagan often referred to America as shining city on the hill. Boy, I miss his optimism. There's just something very special about him. but there are many ways that we can bring that back to the United States, and Brigitte gave you some ways, especially by going on her website and participating. I've mentioned many times, they do all the, what I call the grunt work. They do the research. They tell you what's coming up through the courts, what's coming up in education that we know nothing about. They are the watchdogs. And so that is one way you can do it. You can certainly, in your own life, follow the way of the Lord. And what she's talking about is just the ultimate corruption. Make sure that there's nothing like that in your life. And to raise your family to do the same. Let me encourage you to have better communication with your children. They need to know what's going on. It should be age appropriate, of course, but what are you discussing around your kitchen table? That is so important. Remember the book that we offered you a few months ago about the table experience, and how sitting around the table with your family should be a time of communication, a time of what's going on in their lives. You know, if your children are being taught the ways of Islam in school, you're probably not going to find that out if the television is blasting while you're eating. And also, let me encourage you to be involved in the church, you know, with the fellowship of people. The Bible tells us that, especially in the last days, don't forsake that getting together with people with like precious faith. I think one of the greatest indictments against Europe was their empty cathedrals. These beautiful, beautiful cathedrals there for centuries are empty now. In fact, some of them are being taken over as mosques. You need to be together with the people of God, with people that you agree with, and with people who have that ultimate goal to worship and to serve Him. That's what's going to change a nation. So I'm just confident that you've gotten a lot out of this week. I certainly have. I thank God for sending this special guest to us, and I hope that we will act upon what she has taught us and what we have learned, and not allow history to repeat itself, because we can turn it around with God's help and God's grace. It can happen. Out of time, friends. Join me next time, but please remember there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you would like a video copy of today's Homekeepers program for just $19.95, call 1-800-229-0059 for credit card orders, or send a gift of at least $19.95 to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Be sure to note the program number which appears on your screen.